Okay, almost done to begin with. Okay, so let's begin. Let's begin. Okay, just one last change. Almost there. Okay, let's begin with this. Preparing everything. Welcome. One, welcome to this streaming. I'm very excited that you're here. And this today I'm going to share about converting variable types to strings, and there's several special cases. So maybe it will take more than just one streaming. It maybe will take two. So this is going to be very interesting because there are some cases that you are not really aware about them, and only when doing some kind of basic examples from a book, you have the time to review and validate and see how is this happening, or how, or what's the consideration for these cases. So remember that all the code is on GitHub. I'm Diego Barriguete. My nickname is Dieger. Um, I'm going to share the GitHub. If this is the first time that you are here, on the chat is the GitHub page where you may download all the code, and also you are able to review the previous examples that I have on another transmissions, on another live streamings. So right now, my Visual Studio is opening. Just give me a second. Okay, here we are. This this is this is the code of the last streaming. So we got the issues with the double variable and all of this. I'm going to move everything, custom convert. I'm going to do another not five exercises. I'm going to do another folder. So the 05 string converts. Mhm, 05. Okay, so remember .NET new console, and we are going to have a new console. Just give me a second, and I'm going to share you the GitHub page for this so that program, yeah, remember here's the GitHub. Okay, now you may see that one in the chat. Okay, now we have our application. I'm going to close this one and program. So today is converting types to string. Okay. Okay, so we are going to create some variables, for example, int um, number variable. Okay, integer variable, and we have 0.25. Okay, and then I'm going to console write line um integer variable. And here I'm going to place it as integer variable, but also as a string. Okay, so I'm going to place this character so that you are going to be aware if there are spaces or something like that. So integer, the basic, the most basic way to change anything to a string is using a method with the name toString. Integer variable dot toString. Okay, this is the most basic way. Um, every type has this method, and you are able just to change this. Um, there is no big deal. Bool and boolean variable is false. Console right bar line. Um, boolean variable. Here you have boolean variable as a string. Also, I'm going to use the same one. Boolean variable to string. Okay. Then we could have, well, this is the basics, and from here we are going to move forward to some more complex examples. So .NET run, and here you have let's see, we have integer variable 25 as string 25, and boolean variables false as a string false. Okay, if you see, you have, we write false here as the first character is lowercase, and here we have uppercase. So these are the kinds of situations that we have, not because we write the value as this way, it means that we are having exactly the same way on the toString value. It changes, and it changes depending on the type of the object, the way of how it has been implemented, and that's that's a special condition. So a more complex situation will be this one: date time, um, date time variable new date time. If you want to get right now the exact date time of right now, you just have to write up date time, the name of the class, dot now. Okay, and then you got it. You have the exact value of now. It doesn't mean that it's going to be refreshing the value and you are to keep moving 738, 739 and moving on. It means that you are going to get the exact time at that moment when you assign that value to your variable. So the time is going to stay static with that value, but you know that that value was get at a certain time of the execution of your application. So console write line, um, date time variable, and we have this, okay, as a string dot to string. Okay, let's see what we are going to have here. What do we have? There's an error. Okay, my bad. This is my bad. Forgot the semicolon here. So datetime variable, you have October 1st, 2021, 7:39:48, and as a string, you have the same value. Okay, and this is and maybe you are beginning to think, hey, but what will happen if I need a special date format? First, the last, first the month, and then the day, or first the year. These are some cases that we are going to see because this method, for some cases, it has an it has an overloading. For example, datetime variable dot toString, and here, well, this is the way of how we are calling, so that you are going to get the string on OS style, depending on how your OS is configured. You will get this. I'm pretty sure that if you have your computer on United States and you are trying to get uh, the and you are executing the toString of a datetime variable, you are going to have one a different format. You are going to have first the month, then the day, and then the year. I'm pretty sure of that. So if you want to change toString, has an overloading with um, a special string that you are able to just set up the format. For example, this one, day, month, year, or change it to month, day, year, or change it to year, month, day, or whatever you want. You are able to place, even you are able to change um, this case. Instead of a slash, use a hyphen and things like that. That's we're going to see that one after. So the other special case that we may have is object, the object. This is the basic object of everything. Object variable, new object, and then I'm going to object variable. Here we could get an error because object variable. Here we could get an error because I'm not sure. This case is like the previously we saw that we have some cases for the casting that it's automatic and you don't need to do anything. For this case, this is doing a toString call to this method. This you are not seeing, but the application is saying, okay, I have to write up integer variable, but this is not a string. I need to write it up as a string. So Now that you have this thing, you are going to place this one using toString, but without placing the toString. So here we have the object variable as a string, object variable toString. I think that this is going to throw an error. I'm not sure. And that's the important of doing exercises. You have to validate that everything is working. Oh, it works. ToString is being called. Mhm. Object variable system object as a string system object. Okay, this is the basic way to convert something to a string. Now, what if we have a byte? I told you that we have the int, we have the um, I there's a small int. No, it's not small int. We have the reference for the data types. Well, but we have we have a boolean, we have a byte, and let's think that we have a byte array. So byte array will be new byte, and we are going to have maybe 64 positions. Okay, and now what what's going on here? I'm going to set up the value of these 64 positions. I'm going to use the random, new random, and dot next bytes for the following for this object byte array, and this is going to fill it up. Then we have console write line byte array. Mhm. Here we are going to place now byte array. Okay, save and then .NET run. Okay, in the case that you want to write an array, you have to do another thing. You have to use the loops. You have to use the for example, and this is why you get this error. This error is about a new expression requires a list of arguments or parentheses, curly braces, brackets after the type, So you are not able just only to call this. This is an object, and this will work in the same way as this variable. But for this case, we have byte array, and then we are trying to just write it up. So it doesn't work. I don't remember if this one has the same implementation, but you are not able just to write up an array because it will be something weird like, okay, what do you want me to write? Because I'm able to handle several objects on this object, so an object of objects. So .NET run, okay, the same. We are having errors because we have the situation that the toString is able to be applied to each one of the elements of the array, but we don't have a specific element. We are just calling, okay, from this byte array, just convert it to string. So what I'm going to do is change it, and this change is going to be I'm going to look for each one of for int I0 I less than the positions of the byte array. We already know that it's 64 because we have the definition here, but it's better that you use dot length I plus plus, and then now we are going to write console write line position, and the position is byte array. No, I value at position, and here's the value. So byte array brackets I dot to string. Mhm. Now, as I told you, this is the most basic way to do it. You require an expression byte array to string tray 3. Hmm. Okay, the error is here. Oh, I new random. Ah, okay, let's see. Let's see if this works. .NET run. Okay, yeah, we have the byte array. We are filling up this one with the random and next bytes method, and then we have this byte array dot toString, and byte array toString returns system.byte. It returns the type of the object that this is. So it it's not useful. That information is not useful. I think the same case is for this one. .NET run. We're going to get system.byte. Yeah, it's the same. And well, we don't need that. We need to call the values. So for the values, we are going to use this loop. Clear screen, .NET run. And here we go. We have 162, 171, 175. I'm going to change this. So I'm going to write, and I'm just going to write the position. I'm going to place this and its value. So after that, two spaces, and then .NET run. Here we are. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Up to 16. So if console, no. If I module 16 equals 0, then I'm going to console write line. Okay. .NET run. Greater than 0, and okay, .NET Run. Okay, yeah, now we have values, and we have the first position 214, 53, 20. Now, um, what do we have here? Here we have a byte value. So remember, byte value is 8 bits. So for this, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bits. You have these 8 bits that control the numbers, and you are only having one, and things like that. If you open your calculator, you have a special value, a special edition. So maybe you could use the programmer uh, version of your calculator. And if you place just one, eight ones total, then mm, if you place that on binary, you are going to get the value of a byte. The max value for a byte is 255. That is the case when you have this 11 11 11 11. Okay, that's the major value that you will have, the max value that you will have. Now, here on some cases, it's not useful to see 214, 53 is useful, but a byte is also able to be presented as an hexadecimal value. So for if we want to do that, instead of doing just the toString, we are going to place the object, and then we are going to use the format, and the format with the X is the one that is going to convert this thing to the other value. I'm going to, okay, we have here this thing. I'm going to repeat it so you will see the value. And instead of just calling toString, I'm going to format X, uppercase for that X. Don't forget it. .NET Run. Now, what do we have? We have a 74. 74 is D. Oh, no, 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 no. Sorry. I need to clear this, and I'm going to place console, right line, right line, and here we have um, hex values. Okay, I'm going to place another one, console, right line. Okay, now we are going to see the difference because it was not doing, it was not writing a new line at the end, and we had this issue. Mhm. Warning, semicolon, my bad, my bad, doesn't run. So you have 185, and 185 is the same as B9 on on hex values. 215 is D7, 143 is 8F. And this is the case when you have some strange characters for some strange characters, some kind of code that you have or a special value that you got. And this is because it's happening this transformation. Instead of using the decimal value, it's using the hex value. And these are completely different. For example, if here for the case of sixth position, value of 10 is A. And remember, this is just because hex values are from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and after 9, we'll, on decimal we will got the 10, but instead we have A, B, C, D, E, F, okay? And 9, 10, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then we get back. Um, we will get 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, D, or 0A, doesn't matter. This is the notation on hex value. Now we have here another way. We have this array and we have these values. This is the decimal, the hex values. And now what for some from instead of having well a file you may represent a file on somewhere as an array of bytes because that's that's the basic notation for binary files. And sometimes you need to transfer the information from one place to another. So once that you got this special situation that you have to transfer a file, you have here another way to convert it. We have, well, right now we have an array, and that array we are converting to a decimal value, hex value, but we don't have right now a string. We have a representation per position for a special value. So now what we're going to do is create a string variable, and that string variable is like encoded variable string variable. I don't remember if I have declared this one. No, string variable equals, and this string variable is going to do we have to use convert dot, remember the last time, to int to string, and there's another one with the name of to base 64 string. We have to use our array byte array. Okay, and now we're going to write up. The first thing that we try to do is console write byte array. Byte array. We just got this byte array system.byte, but for this case we are converting to something that is base 64. This base 64 is another one that we that is going to give us another things, another values. So for these values, this is going to be the representation as a string for this thing. So byte array converted to base 64, and this representation can be a string. String variable. Okay. Now clear screen. .NET run. The name string variable doesn't exist. I just write the wrong variable. Okay. .NET run. So now we have this byte array system. This is the decimal, the hex, and the hex values. And now here you see only characters and you see something less that needs less space. So right line, I'm going to change the format just to easier to see. But in this case, you have to read it to just and you are going to string this for a few seconds to the take time. And well, if you are in translation, and we are doing some examples with the strings, convert string and getting a value as a string. So we have great line. Yeah, we have this great line. Okay, so we are going to convert to base64 string, and this is going to convert this array. And instead of having all these values, 27, 78, this is going to change it to a string. So we are going to have this. I just changed the format, so now it's going to be clear. .NET run. We have the conversion decimal byte array system dot byte. This is the decimal, this is the hex, and this is the byte array to base64. This is just a string. You just have a string that has these values. Each one of these values are have a special representation. It's not exactly that a character has its translation and you have 64 characters here, but you have with all these values the way of to represent them into a character. And you have a string instead of having a whole um, byte array. The same works backwards. You are able to have a string on base64 format and then convert it back to a byte array. It works the same. So for the case, we have converted a type of variable to a string. Now we need to parse, and to parse we have other method, integer variable. We have our integer variable equals. We have now consider the following situation. You have a string, and that string you want to use it as another type of variable. Okay, an integer variable, a datetime variable, or a boolean variable. So what you are able to do is previously we had this situation float, um, float my float value equals 27, and then you created your integer, and then integer my int value equals, and you had to cast it float my float value. Okay, now we have to do the same with a string, but the string is another object and it could have another things. What happened here? Well, you are not able just to cast any type of value to this. You need to parse it to the type of the value that you want to use. So here we have the integer variable. Now int has a method with the name parse, and here at parse you are able to set 79. Okay, so console write line parsing an integer, parsing a string to integer. This is the value integer variable. And I remember that we have this string value. We're going to make it this way, 79. Then 79, my parse is going to use my string value instead of placing the string directly here. Clear screen, run. I forgot the semicolon. This is my bad. Mhm. So here we have passing string to integer variable. Mhm. Ah, I didn't place this, so that this is going to change to the value. .NET run. Hex values, decimal values, byte array converted 64, and parsing a string to integer. Here you have the parse, a string variable with the value of 79 is parsed to int, and then you have the 79 as an integer, not as a string. So this is one situation. The other situation that it's more complex is you have the datetime variable and you have a string. Somebody sent you a string and that string has a datetime, and you are going to convert that datetime to another thing. To Somebody sent you a string that contains a datetime value, and you are to convert it. You are going to convert it to datetime variable type. Okay, so we have the datetime variable, and this datetime variable is going to be equals datetime dot parse, and then you have to place the string. So I'm going to still use this string variable just to keep clear about the examples, and I'm going to place today is 1st October 2021. My computer is in Spanish, so I need to place the name of the month in Spanish. Uh, 1st October 2021. I have a space here. I think that this is going to convert it, but .NET run. Yeah, and you have this. Okay, you have. Oh, I didn't write it. Console write line parsing a string to datetime variable. Mm. Daytime variable. Where did I place it? Daytime variable. Hmm. I write it wrong. Variable. Yeah. And then why do I have all these errors? Yeah, this is because you misspell it. Okay. So yeah, this today. This is the date. First, October 1st, 2021. So clear screen. .NET run. And there you go. Parsing a string to datetime 1st October 2021. For example, 15 October 2021. Okay, I see that everybody there are several have joined the transmission, so I'm happy that there are several of you watching this. Okay, parsing a string to datetime, and you have the datetime variable. Now, with this parsing, we get the datetime as a string. We are parsing the string that we have, the date that we have in the string, we are parsing to a datetime variable. I'm just going to execute it again, and we have parsing to string datetime 15 October 2021. You see this thing, and previously here in datetime variable we have that you convert this and it includes the date and the hour, minute and second. You are able to use it, but because we only provided the date, we don't have the time, and that's why the time is filled up with zero, 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. So does this Gabriel is asking, does this conversion include time zone and all those mystic stuff? Yeah, it considers that, but you don't have any specification for that. I think that I'm going to take another to do it on another stream for the next week. This date time several has a configuration datetime variable for using. I'm going to look for the documentation. Just give me a second. But you are able to. Yes, it does with other parameters. And the main situation here is this. You have a daytime that, and maybe you are in Pacific time. You want to use the same time. I mean, the same 9 a.m. for several devices on several locations. And one of your devices are at Eastern time or Central time or Mountain time or China, Europe, that they have another time. So if you only convert your data and your daytime just this way, you are not you don't have the information for the time zone. The time zone is being handled by daytime C# daytime. Just give me a second. Daytime struct, and the definition is for the time zone. Yeah. Yes, you have the time zone info so that you are able to convert it to UTC. For example, we have here the datetime variable, and then we are going to write it up UTC datetime variable. It's the same, but the only thing that I'm going to do is change it to dot UTC. Um, you're able to do this UTC now, UTC now, clear screen, .NET run. So you are going to see that I have 821, 820. You have this datetime variable 820. And if instead of that datetime.now you call datetime.utc now, you get the UTC value. And this UTC values is the special one that we use when we have to coordinate several time zones. So this thing is October 1st, 120. 120 in the evening. Okay, so this is the way of how you are able to handle. I remember that daytime has a time zone. Um, a time zone consideration. I don't have it right now, but yeah, you you are able to have that, and that way you are able to handle that way with a special parsing using uh, the time zone and another and more arguments more than just using this the time.parse. You are able to use the time zone or the definition of another type of maybe the format in French or in Spanish, or well, daytime as parsing a daytime, because here we have October 15, October 2021, and you may have these, but there are some situations when you are using dates from United States and you got a date like this and you say, okay, I don't know exactly if this one is the month or this one is the month. I'm using a system, or I'm communicating to a system that is in the US, so I suppose that the month is the first part. But to use that, you have to use another methods, another overload methods for just the parse. I think that I'm going to cover that on the next streaming, because it's almost been 1 hour. Well, it's more than one hour, and I still need to review this thing. Okay. Let's see what else. What else do we have here? We have yeah. Remember that you have the format. So this thing return just parsing a string to datetime, and you have this value. But also remember that you have the format, and the format for a date, you just have to place a D. So clear screen, .NET run. Now here we have parsing a string to date. We have here parsing a string to date time. We have the same structure. we have the same value, October 10, 2021, and the toString only changes the format to in numbers, day, month, year, hour, minute, second. But if you use the D, it means date. It only plays the date here. Sunday, October 10th, 2021. This format especially is because my computer is in Spanish. If you create or if you execute this same example on your computer in English from USA, you will have the same you have a different situation. You will have Sunday, October 10th, 2021. Okay, and now that's the way to change it. But now what happens? We have a happy path here because we have a string variable that is exactly the value that we want to convert, that we want to parse. We have a 79 and we are going to parse it to an integer, or we have a 10 space 10 space 2021 space, and we want to change it to parse it to a daytime. But what happens when we have string variable equals 17? Okay, we don't have a number. We have a string, only a text, and we are going to change it. Int the year variable equals int dot parse string variable. But this is the situation. On some cases, you will have something like this, something that is not exactly the value that you want, and you are going to do a parse. So this parse is going to do something special. Okay, we have .NET first clear screen, .NET run, byte array, decimal hex values, parsing a string to daytime, and we have this for the Sunday. And then after this, with the date, we have our three new lines, 17 and this. And it says unhandled exception system format exception input string was not in the correct format. Why? Because we have the word 17 and we are trying to convert it to this. And a timestamp. Um, do you have more information about the timestamp, Gabriel? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure for what case. For what case you are asking. UTC time stamp. Okay. Now we got here we have an error. If you send me the answer for that, I'm going to answer you. Right now we have this unhandled exception, and this is because this text is being the code is trying to parse this word to a number, and 17, yes, is a number, but it's the name of a number. It's not a value of a number. For a value of a number, it will be 17, and that's it. So what happens here? This is throwing an error, throwing an exception, and our application is our application is not being executed after this step because this step is the one that has the issues. This has the errors because we have this this situation unhandled exception. So how we could take control of this, because now it seems that we need to write try and then catch for integer console write line and error is under control. Okay, exception x message message x message. Okay, let that run. Now we have this. We have parsing a string to datetime Sunday, this line, and then we have an error is under control. Input string was not in correct format. You see this, and it's similar to. Oh, I don't have the one for. I don't have the previous error. X values converting. No, I don't have it. Okay. Well, but an error is under control. Input string was not in correct format. Parsing to an integer. And this thing is controlling this try and this catch is controlling the errors. But before seeing the try and the catch, well, how I will be able to use it without this error control? And this is not because I don't want to use it. It's useful and we must use it. But there are another situation that you will have too much code to control this. For that case, there's something there's another method with the name uh, there's another method integer variable with the name tryParse int dot try parse string variable uh, out, and this is a tricky one. Okay, sorry, what happens when we have Unix timestamps integer or float and we need to convert it to datetime? Okay. For timestamps, you are able you are able to convert them also. Convert the timestamp to datetime. You just need to use the following. Okay, you will have something like this. You have you have a datetime that you have to convert from time in seconds. Um, datetime CSharp. The name of that one is timestamp. No, to Unix time seconds. To Unix time seconds. Datetime offset. It's not into datetime. It's in datetime offset, and datetime offset has a method with the name to Unix time seconds. I'm grinding up that one to convert to convert a datetime to timestamp. You may use datetime offset. Okay, this to convert. Now, if you have to parse, I think that will be a similar case. Parse Unix time seconds. Just give me a second. You will need a special line of code. You just have to convert. You have to get all the seconds and convert them to the time with the following line. That's a special line of code. You will get the time UTC now subtract. Oh no, but that thing, I think that's the same. You have to do backwards. No, sorry. I sent you the same one as if you use that method is the same as if you use the two Unix time seconds. It makes the whole thing. But I'm going to after this date special case for the question of daytime timestamp. See, you just have to do this. You have the daytime and you convert it and you create this one from this. You have 1970 January 1st 0000 for the time, and then you have to set up the system dot daytime kind dot UTC. This means that this daytime is going to be UTC, and then you are going to add the seconds of your Unix timestamp. So this Unix timestamp has the extra seconds that you have, well, has the seconds after January 1st, 1970, and this way is how you are going to get that timestamp and convert or parse it to a date time. And then this is UTC. Remember that Unix timestamp is in UTC. You are able to also parse it from UTC to your local time because you are having a local time, or you may use a local time, not exactly a UTC. So I'm going to leave here this code and you will get it from GitHub. I'm not going to place it on the chat because this is a very technical code. So the way to do it is this one. Okay. Well, finally, for this, we have the try parse, and the try parse is the one that is going to do a try to convert your string to the value that you are asking for. So this is going to do the following. Okay, this is try parse and try parse will have this. Okay, I'm going to string variable has a value that could be translate parsed to this type of variable, yes or no? Yes. If yes, then this method is going to return true and is going to return the value on the variable that you have here with the notation of out. This is because you are passing a variable and this try parse already returns a true or a false. But for that true or false, then you have here that you will need that value to be stored on a variable. So just for this case and not use a try parse and then use the parse because the try parse maybe is able to do the parse already. You just have to use try parse and you just have to ask what if the value is able to being parsed. So try no if try parse. If this returns value, it means that this value is able to be converted to this type of variable, and then you will have, okay, console parsing successful parse of a string to integer. Okay, and then the other one is else. If not, then this value is not an integer. Console red line. Going to do where I'm going to say the value the string string variable is not a valid integer. Okay, yeah. So clear screen, .NET run, and here we have. Okay, the string 17 is not a valid integer. Parsing string to integer. I love this one. Okay, I remove it, and now we have this. The string 17 is not a valid integer. And why is this? Because we have the name of the number. We don't have the number. And when we try to parse, then this is not able. It changes if I place here at 25.NET run. Then we are going to have successful parse of a string to an integer. Successful part of string to integer 25. Okay, but this is because we have a valid number, not the name of the number or not a strange string. Well, for today, this is everything for today. I'm really glad that you were here and you were watching. If you got questions or have suggestions, just ask by the chat. I'm really glad that I'm able to answer and to get deeper on some examples because, for example, this case of daytime in UTC is not it's not common that you are using them or that you need to change the way of how you are doing the things or the considerations that you will need for that kind of values. So it's very useful this part, and I really enjoyed answering your questions. So have a nice day, have a nice weekend, and see you in the next stream. Bye bye.